their supplements and anything that's about getting back to nature in my store, and then also creating a um, like a strip, kind of like a strip mall around it that's geared towards health. So we have um, black-owned therapists, maybe a black-owned spa where they have estheticians, maybe a little coffee shop in there, but mostly, geared towards like health offices to support our communities.
Like a health center.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But it's like more on the holistic level, where all these businesses center around, providing this holistic health. I do feel that there needs to be more companies out there that are operating sort of like how do I say it? I don't want to say like a distribution point, but like almost like a mall or like a distributor where one person can go and find multiple products in the same place. You know what I mean? Like the market is the industry. I don't want to say the market. The industry is too fragmented in these individual sellers, where it's like, one guy's selling over here, another guy's selling over there, and stuff. But if there was a place where you knew you could go and get, like, you could choose between 10 different Seamoss suppliers or gel makers, you have a choice of getting 3 or 4 different types of powder guys. You know what I mean? So that like this week I could try this one, that next week I could try that one, and find the one that works best for me, right? And in some ways, it's beneficial to the people in the market because now it's like we're creating a destination place where people are going seeking out this particular product, and if presented in the right way, then these people coming to try the product, they should be encouraged to try multiple products, and then therefore everybody gets a kick at the can. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're in one store, the customer comes in, they either like your product or they don't. They still might want to buy Seamoss, but they just might not like your product for whatever reason. They didn't like the information on the label or whatever. But if there was 5 different products, then the guy's walking away with something, right? And yeah, and while you may lose today on that sale, the overall market is being pushed forward, and that means that more people are going to get into the market, which eventually you'll get your guy coming to you who's going to fit what you're selling. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we try to be too competitive, and our fear of working together is what's slowing down the acceleration of the market.
Absolutely. Because even if you look at different cultures like Indian or Chinese, and you go into their stores, I go in there and I find different herbs and stuff that I've been wanting to try, like neem or something like that. And they'll have different brands of it in there, and the store owners that are working in there, the people working in there, they actually know about it. So they're breaking it down and letting you know where they come from and all this stuff. And so I have the option, I can try this. Maybe I'll just, someone like me, I'm going to buy both of them and see what the difference is myself. So that is, I see that already with other cultures. So why not? Why can't we do it? You go into Walmart, you're going to see 60 different cans of corn. Yep. And during COVID, that whole shelf was gone. So it's like, especially when people have that scarcity mindset, they don't care what it is. As long as that's what they need or want, they're going to go grab it and stuff. But that's exactly along the lines of what I was interested in cultivating at some point. That's like the bigger scope of what I'd like to do eventually. I have a lot to learn before I get there, but you kind of hit the nail on the head.
No, because it's needed, and I think if you put your mind to it, you'll get there, and it's much needed. And like I said, this will help open, like having more guys like you who create spaces where multiple vendors can coexist and work together or sell in the same space is going like it's going to help change the perception. Because the reason why people have this perception is because there's no information to counter the perception, right? So sometimes we look at a situation and we develop an opinion based on our past experiences, what we've heard, la 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 la. But none of it's real. None of it we know for sure is that's going to happen. But we create that. The only way we can dispel that is by showing the difference. Do you know what I mean? And so when black people see, you know what I mean, people like me and Ricky working together, even though we sell the same product almost for the same price, and to see how we can get along in the same space and sort of push each other to advance, it makes them say, oh, wait a minute, like if these guys can do it, why can't other guys do it? Let's go try it. You know what I mean? Like it takes that first guy to go on the dance floor dancing by himself to get the crowd into the party, you know?
Yeah, that's a good
example. Yeah, and we all need to do that. We all need to push that sort of narrative, because if we're serious about wanting black people together, then we need to take the risk and you know what I mean? Like take a chance. Like I'll give you an example. I'm a member of this group in Toronto called ACRES. Stands for African Canadian Real Estate Society, right? And so this thing was run by this African guy. His name is Chakwu or something. I can't even pronounce his name. But he developed this concept, this group, built the group up to all this number, and now the group's getting to the second stage where they want to start creating initiatives where they can do like in-house financing and stuff like that, or they want to be able to pool their money together and do flips and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of like on this committee working with them, helping them sort of build the infrastructure and stuff. And so I'm talking to this guy, you know what I mean? And we're talking, sort of like one-on-one, right? Personal, whatever. And he's kind of, going to me like, oh, well, fuck Chaku, he's organizing this. Oh, he's going to get all the money. And then I was like, so what? Like, why do you care? Like, you have a problem with him fucking getting ahead? You're like, are you serious? Like, we're supposed to be helping black people. Like, how do you have even an issue with it? Like, you're not doing it. Why aren't you doing it? If you like, do you know what I mean? And so it's like, to me, it's kind of like, if you're willing to put the effort in, you're putting the work in and stuff, bravo. I'm happy for you. Do you know what I'm saying? And we need to be more happy for each other and just push each other. And if you know what I mean, if that person's in a place where you want to be, go do what that guy's doing and get there. That's all it takes. And I think that's the problem with a lot of us black people. We're afraid to trust each other. We're afraid to take that risk to see what's going to happen. We'd rather just, it's safe for us to say, oh, this will never work out, and never try it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm going in circles.
It's a fear of failure.
Yes. You have
a big fear. I was actually just having a conversation with somebody recently about that, is that, you can't be afraid to fail. Mm-hmm. You can't be afraid to say, you know what, this didn't work out. Let me go back to the drawing board. Or you can't be afraid to say, hey, you know what, that person's doing it better than what I am. Let me go ahead and take some pointers from them.
Yeah.
I think that's, as far as black people, that's one of our biggest things, is that we live in a social media world, and so failure means that you're not good.
Ooh.
And then people will laugh at your I told you so situation come up, to where you don't want to, like, people are afraid to fail. Man, you know how many businesses I had before businesses started to do what they're supposed to do? Like, I had to fail a whole bunch of times. I had to say, you know what, this ain't working. And all those different times that people would say it was a failure, is actually a success for me, because I went through some trenches that I wouldn't ever went through if I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, every failure was a learning experience for me. Even with Seamoss, there's some failures I've had with Seamoss, and they've been learning experiences.
Mm-hmm. It's all how you look at it, the perspective you give it. You know what I mean? But it's funny you say that. It's like when I think about it, it's like I failed so much. I have like battle scars all over me to the point. Yeah, it's like I akin it to like being punched in the face. After you get punched in the face a few times, you're not afraid to get punched in the face.
Exactly. You're
Bro.
not afraid to lose a fight.
Yeah, bro.
Like if you lost a fight before, then you're not afraid to lose a fight again. You done been through it.
Yeah.
If you done lost a fight and weathered through it, then guess what? You're not afraid to fight anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if I lose, I lose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick myself up, and if I have to fight again, I know what to expect. And I know what I'm gonna do next time.
Yeah. Like I'm not a fighting kind of guy, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to fight because I know how to take a few punches and still get up. And you know, me and my brother, like fuck it, bro. Me and my brother used to fight so much that it got to the point where we agreed we weren't going to do it because no one ever won. You know what I mean? We always ended up like beating ourselves to the point where like we were just so tired. And like you know when you have that one's giving a shot, the other giving a shot, you're just like, oh, okay, draw.
You know what? I have sort of like inverse perspective on what you guys were just saying about the fear and stuff. Is that as I started selling more Seamoss and I started actually going out to vendor things, I actually lost hearing in my right ear over the last couple years. I don't know what happened with it, but it's there. So that's hard when I'm at a vendor thing, especially if they have music. I can't hear everything that somebody's saying unless I turn my head or something, and I just kept having this fear of having people help me. And then when I started thinking about my business getting bigger and thinking about I'm gonna need partners, I'm gonna need people that do things that I can't do, maybe accounting or whatever and stuff. But my fear with that, because I don't know those things, like can I trust these people? And I also drive Lyft. I had a passenger. When I see people, I'm taking them home and they live in a mansion or something, I tell them instead of a tip, can you give me a business tip? And because I, started my own business, and that's something that could help me even make more money down the line is information. So this one lady was telling me, she's like, you can't be afraid to seek out help and advice and everything. So it was a little bit different than kind of what you guys are saying. I was kind of the one that was causing that fear instead of like, I guess, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so like basically like, I'm getting to that point where like I know that once I go full throttle, I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. Even though I'd like to, that'd be amazing if I could wear all those hats. But even with products, like I want to learn how to make gummies, I want to learn how to do all this and stuff, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of money and energy and different things when I can buy wholesale from my people that are already, selling it. As long as I know the product is good and my customers are getting the best of the best, like why not utilize other people that have that instead of betting on my time doing these things when there's other things that are more important that I need to be working on.
You can never do everything on your own and expect to scale. You're not a machine, so you're going to have to. But I take advice from Gary Vee. I watch a lot of Gary Vee because I feel like I'm kind of like the black Gary Vee. You know what I mean? A lot of the things that he was talking about and saying from the beginning, I've been watching Gary Vee back when he used to do the wine library. I don't know if you guys what?
Yeah, I said, oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You remember? This is how I found out about Gary Vee, and it's interesting, and it's why one of the things that I follow him, or like why I part of the reasons why I do what I do. So I don't know if are you ever familiar with TiVo? You know what TiVo is, right? Yeah, TiVo is basically the original DVR and stuff. And so Gary Vee used to have this show on TiVo because you used to be able to, pre-record your own shows. Because I hate watching shows with commercials. Or you can go into these I guess third party platform, and you would have all these extra shows like Wine Library. They had one on on computers or whatever, and so he would come out and talk about wine. And this guy was the guy. Like you'd watch him, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? He looked nothing like the other wine people, and didn't give a fuck. He didn't care. And he came on, and he would sit there, and half his show was about him talking about baseball cards and the little trolls and Smurfs. He would get these things, but you would watch the whole show because you never know what this guy was going to say or what he was talking about, and he would just ramble off about blah this blah. Like even this, let's talk about Seamoss. It's almost kind of centered around the same concept because he had no sort of format. He just here's a bottle. Well, let's taste it. Oh, it tastes like shit. Blah, blah, don't buy it. And he's selling the wine in his store, and he's telling you not to buy it. You know what I mean? Like it was that kind of thing. And like you, I forgot where my train of thought was going about Gary Vee, but
We were talking about scaling, can't go by yourself.
yeah. Oh, there was a point about him, but anyways, forget it. Yeah, you definitely can't do it by yourself. You have to get. Oh, that was it. So he says that you want to learn just a little bit of what everybody else is doing, so that when they come and talk shit to you, you know when they're talking shit to you and when they're being straight. So you don't have to be an expert, say social media guy or an expert at creating ads, but you should know enough so that when they do say, "Oh, well, it took this long to do this thing or do that," you're just like, "Well, no, I've made an ad before. I know how long it takes." You know what I mean? You'll know when these guys are full of shit. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be doing any work. You know what I mean? When this gets to a certain point, except coming into the office and barking at a bunch of people and telling them what to do. That's the ultimate scale, and that's where I feel like we need we need to be thinking about growing our business to the point where you can comfortably take off like a month or two. You know what I mean? Like even now, like I want to go to St. Lucia, and in the back of my mind, it's like, fuck, how am I going to leave for a month? Like who's taking care of all the things that I'm taking care of here when I'm up here? You know? So you got to feel that when you get a scale, or otherwise you're going to become a slave to your business, and you're not really scaling when that happens. You're just overworking yourself.
Yes, I definitely got to work on that mindset because I'm usually like so used to doing stuff for myself.
Me
I've
too.
actually been a hermit the past few years because I've moved around a lot, so I haven't kind of had a core group of people. But since I moved back home here in Sacramento, I've been coming across a lot of people that I actually went to school with who all have businesses. And that's the person who threw the business one-on-one event last night. And she had a lot of tips. Some of the things that you touched on tonight, she also mentioned, including the fear and then utilizing the people around you. And yeah, so I think I just need to start writing stuff down that I need or want to accomplish so I can kind of have a vision like, okay, so I'm going to need these type of people. And as you mentioned, kind of learn a little bit about each of those subjects.
Yeah.
But you mentioned St. Lucia, so my suppliers may, oh my gosh, I forgot their name. They do the, what's their website? St. Lucia Premium Seamoss.
Yes, I know them. Huh? Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, so they mentioned to me, because I've been wanting to go out there because they do a tour where you get to see how everything's done as far as them trying to get the Seamoss clean and, the different products they have. So that's who I purchased from. And they're amazing because they offer, anytime I have questions, I hit them up on WhatsApp and they get back to me.
No, they're good people. The guy Matthew is very, very passionate about Seamoss and studies a lot on Seamoss. And dude, he alone right there. That's your how do you say it? Like that's your golden key. Like not a lot of people have a guy like him who cares a lot about the CMOS, who's willing to share his knowledge and has this kind of, you know what I mean, direct knowledge. And they have a guest house, like so when you go down there, you're staying like with them in their place. So I encourage you to go do it. And I've known those guys personally. Like I've known them since they've gotten started in the CMOS business. So I know that they care about what they're doing and the products that they're making, and they stand behind it and stuff like that. So yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, it's been a totally different experience working with them versus my last supplier. And she was very personable. She was great, but I just didn't trust the 10 pounds of salty.
There's gonna be salt on the CMOS, just so you know. You know.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that as much as what she had on there before on Seamoss. It was like there was a lot in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like it was caked up and it wasn't dried all the way. But she did say that they had, when I ordered it, they had just pulled it basically from fresh from the ocean, so maybe they didn't dry it all the way.
Was it from Jamaica or Grenada?
Jamaica.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if it was from Grenada, I knew where you bought it from, because that's the thing that they say all the time. It's funny because I've been in so much in the CMOS business that it's like you can almost like talk about something or mention, and I know from the story, okay, that's that person. But here's the thing, and I can show you pictures like in my warehouse and stuff, and you talk to Matthew, he'll confirm it. Is that like as the CMOS is going to have salt on it, no matter what. The question is how much is salt, and that usually is determined by how much it was dried, and then even when it's dry, like where it was dried and stuff. And so if the CMOS, what sometimes these farmers do is they'll have the CMOS a little bit wet, and they'll keep it in the bag till they sell it, and knowing that it's going to dry out a little bit more before they sell it, so as not to lose a lot of weight on it as it's sitting there before they sell it. They kind of like pull it, they put it in the bag still maybe a little wet or a little heavy, right? When it's drying in that bag, the salt crystals are forming. And so you will find that there'll be patches in the bag where the CMOS is kind of dried out a little bit, and there's tons of salt. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Except shake it off. And but here's the thing: when you soak your CMOS and you make the gel, the salt washes away.
Yeah, because I thoroughly wash the moss so I don't see like the water's clear.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. So, and that's why I never said anything negative about her. I didn't post about her or anything like that. For some reason, people feel like they have to do that with every experience they have. But it was like I'm usually pretty good at reading people's energy, very intuitive, and she seemed like an awesome person. She never strayed from questions that I had. Usually, if somebody's shady, they'll like start ignoring you and avoiding you. She was none of that, and she didn't over-explain herself. She offered videos and conference calls, like all kind of stuff. So
that's good.
Once I tried Matthew's Seamoss, I was just like, I love this Seamoss. So
it's the best.
Stuck with that. And plus, they had other products that I like. So I sell their soaps now too. Their soaps are pretty good. But that's good to know, because I felt I wasn't. I ended up not selling the last few pounds of that Seamoss. I went ahead and got rid of it because a year later, my cousin, she lives about an hour from me. She had bought some dry moss for me, and she still had some. And when I looked at it, it was still like that same kind of texture, and it was still not fully dried. It was still kind of like felt rubbery.
Mm-hmm. Like gummy
I was
warmers.
like, that's weird that it's not like dried all the way out and stuff. I told her to toss it, and I gave her what I have now and stuff. So, but I don't know. It was also thicker, so it was a lot thicker than the Seamoss from St. Lucia.
How long did you try and sometimes it's even the way you try to dry it that it doesn't fully dry, or if it's got a lot of the carrageenan or the gel in it, it might
That's
not.
what I'm thinking, because like I said, it was thicker, so it might have been that. And when I made the gel out of it, the gel damn near broke my blender. It was so thick.
Yeah.
And when I would put it in drinks, it would kind of clump. It would take a while to, like, if it was a cold drink, it wouldn't melt into it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a hot drink, I'd have to, like, boil it on the stove into the drink, whether it was coffee or tea or something like that.
Yeah.
So it didn't break up as easily, but I did still feel like it worked. Like, I still felt effects from it.
Yeah.
This Seamoss, like, it melts into everything, and I feel the less anxious, the clarity, the focus, the energy, and everything. So I don't know. It's what works for me. So
yeah, that's what you can say. I think the thicker stuff might have had a lot of fiber in it, and that might have caused it to not be able to fully dry out. I don't know. As much as I know about Seamoss, you're still learning new stuff about Seamoss, and like, you always got to be kind of mindful and aware that you don't know everything. You don't have all the answers, and what you think you know is just what you think you know. It's hard to find real proven evidence and scientific facts to back up everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, eventually, since we were talking about St. Lucia, eventually Matthew, his wife mentioned that they actually have 15 like Airbnb properties out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have a guest house. You should go down there.
I wanted to like put something together since I do want to go out there, because that's gonna be like good footage and everything for YouTube or little videos for Instagram and stuff. But I wanted to put something together, like a business trip to go out there, so you can write it off.
Yeah. I would even like get a few of your like passionate buyers to come out with you as a trip.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Work it out with them and see, with Matthew and them and do like a package thing. I know with us, we've been doing the same tours that they did. We were like one of the first people to start it, and we now get to the point where it's like you come down for a couple days, we take you to the farm, we take you like on a tour to all the different locations in the water, you do the harvest, you do the drying, and then we send you to a couple other places like the Diamond Waterfalls, Sulphur Springs, and stuff like that. And it's a great like event, like a couple of days. You can really sort of jam it with a few stuff, and so you even offering some kind of trip, saying, "Hey guys, you want to come learn more about Seamoss? Like how passionate about you are about Seamoss," and then just offer it. If they go for it, they go for it. If they don't, still go on the trip.
Were some of those places you're talking about, that's in Canada or St. Lucia?
St. Lucia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's out in Canada? I've never been there either.
Yeah, anytime you want to come up here, bro, I'll bring you up and I'll show you around. You know what I mean?
Do a tour.
Yeah, for sure. I'd take you on the CN Tower, or we'll go on Canada's Wonderland, some roller coasters and stuff. Take you fishing. You like to fish?
Yeah, because I did, when I was in school for audio production, I took radio broadcasting and journalism as well, and news writing. So I was thinking of connecting with people like yourself and making that a part of like a little documentary.
You should.
Different videos, traveling around the world, and really learning a lot more. So not just to like put other businesses out like, oh, you guys don't know anything, but to give them an opportunity to know, like, hey, here's some more information and stuff that could help you, run your business and sometimes we don't know where to look other than Google. So I kind of want to do some stuff like that.
I think a big story would be a good story. Sorry, not a big story. A good story would be to interview different players or different people in the game at different levels and share their experiences on like where they were, where they are now, and the journey that they got in between on how to get there, and then show the different perspectives of like. Because here's what I believe: Seamoss heals and helps people, changes people's lives on more than just on their health level. In all different areas, socially, economically, physically, mentally, spiritually, so many different things. And so to be able to document these people's stories and see how Seamoss has affected them on these multiple different levels, I think I would watch that. I'd be curious to see, you know what I mean, like the journey of how the guy from Seamoss Transformation went compared to the journey of how I went, compared to the journey of Ricky or Mr. O. You know what I mean? Where, these guys were all in different quadrants of the world, all utilizing Seamoss to change our lives in different ways. That's cool.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah. So when you're ready for me to be your co-producer,
take notes on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make sure I get my commission. I want my 5% for creative, creative consulting.
No, absolutely, because you get
I'm kidding.
For having and the different people I'm connecting with, those are all people that would be probably most likely in it or somehow involved. So just I do have to go, but I did put my Instagram and Facebook in there, so you guys can follow me on there, and that way we can stay connected. And I'll try to join in more of these talks as well.
Well, for sure. I try to do them every Sunday and Wednesday in the evenings. And let Matt know that you talked to me. Tell him to say you spoke to Julien, because, like I said, I've known those guys since they started. Like I was there when they first started going out and harvesting Seamoss and drying it, and because I was in St. Lucia at the time, so I get to meet them, and you know what I mean. Help them get going, and it's not easy to navigate this Seamoss, and then also how to how do I say it? How to have proper business practices, and how to market. You know what I mean? Like what are the expectations of buyers? So
right.
they're really good at that. They work really hard for that stuff, and yeah.
I appreciate it. It was nice talking to you guys, and I will tap in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anytime. Like I said, tell Matt I said hi, and get him to come on here and join us. This guy never, I caught him on one live stream once. So tell him.
Yes,
so
I will message him tomorrow.
Yeah, tell him. Say Julien says.
Asking about how the soaps were going, so I've been meaning to contact them, so I will talk to them tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great people. Hey, and here's my advice: you don't need to look anywhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, some people are dropping suppliers, this and that. Those guys are good people, and they're very well connected in the Seamoss industry. Matthew produces great product, and so to me, it's kind of like you're not going to get any better than that. You know what I mean? So even if you try to find a better person, you might get a better price, but you're not going to get better quality.
True. I appreciate that.
Pardon?
Because before I even started buying them, I got into a couple of Seamoss groups. That's, I think, how I added Ricky as well in one of the Seamoss groups. And I watched them for a while before I even ordered from them. And I watched their videos, their lives, and everything. And I was like, this is the one. Mm-hmm. So everything you said just encompasses what I was feeling as I was watching them. Yeah, they're good people, man. Yeah, really good people. Yeah. Well, all right. I will talk to you guys soon. You guys take care.
Okay.
You have a good one, Asa. All right, take care.
All right, take care, man. Nice guy. What's up, Shawnee boy? Well, go on. What are you cooking, Sean? I know he's too busy.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
Not much, not much. All blessing, no stressing.
I got some elderberry and ginger gummies, and I got Seamoss face mask, and I got purple Seamoss going, and I got my son up, as you know.
always, you're a cheerleader. So the Seamoss face mask, is that just like a cream that you like paint on your face like that, or is it? Um, I don't know. I see my kids wearing like this gel mask that they put on with the eyes cut out or something like that.
What I do is I infuse turmeric. I can't give out my secrets.
A bunch of herbs and stuff.
Yeah, you got a bunch of herbs on there. Yeah, something like that. But it's really good though. They've been going crazy about it, man. I mean, it's like night and day with your face, like especially for like melanated people that like. Because I use turmeric in it, and I think it would stain somebody's face that's not as melanated as me, and they'll be looking like orange or something like that.
True. Yeah, the turmeric will stain that. But I guess on a black skin, it would create a little bit of like a bronze look.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh shit! Looking all fancy with the bronze medal, the golden look.
I just ordered me like a thousand what are those things called? Labels and 500. 1,000 labels and 500 business cards. I'm excited. I'm geeking.
Nice. Where did you order them with?
I went through Vistaprint.
Oh, cool. Why did you choose Vistaprint? Just because of the convenience, and you could just get it done.
I guess so, because I don't know anyone else go to this.
I'd have to check. I mean, I could look up a few people and stuff. Like I know there's a lot of printers around. There's actually a guy though that you know when you run into one of these situations where you meet someone and you know like this is a good link and you just got to kind of follow up on it. And I keep kicking myself every time I remember this because it's like I haven't followed up on it, and I know I could talk to this guy and get like if he does what I think he does, I know I can get a badass deal. So I ran into this guy who basically is an Asian guy, a young Asian guy, and he has a factory that makes stickers and labels. And how I met him was I was scouring online for 4x6 shipping labels in a roll. And so this guy had like the best deal I've ever seen in my life. Like it was ridiculous. Like it was basically a roll of 500 labels, and I think it cost me like $5 a roll because I got like 6 rolls for like $20 or some ridiculous. I have to check, but I remember being when I met him being like, dude, would these fall off a truck? Like, how are you able to sell this to me for this price? What's the deal? Like, is this like a one-time thing or what? And he was like, no, I have a company. I own this company that makes labels, and he makes the labels for some other guy, and they just have extra labels lying around, so he just sells them. You know what I mean? Because you know, typical Asian thing. They always print more and sell it out the back door for cheap while they make money. You know what I mean? They probably charge the whole run to the guy and still have like say boxes of labels left over because they only bought so much, and that's you know what. Either way, I got to go back and follow up on this guy and see what his capacity is because if he can do what I think he can do, which is basically do custom label rolls, then I could go back to him and say, well, look, I have this group here. Why don't you set me a flat rate for printing and designing stuff? And I'll go to these guys and push it and sell it, you know? And I'll sell it for pretty much cost. Like, I don't need to make any money on it. We can all save the labels, then I all save money on the labels. Then it's like almost like I'll do it just so I can get my labels for cheaper. You know what I mean? And then he's happy, I'm happy, everybody in the group's happy. It's not even just a win-win; it's a win-win-win. You know, that's even better. So, but like typical procrastinator Julien, I haven't called the guy yet to even start the process. Yeah.
I ever did. I paid someone like $200 to my labels. They come over here with a design and just make it like really cool and like dope. And the hot thing is out. And whenever they sent it to me, it was just a picture of this guy that looks like everyone else's guy. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I just created some of my own. I was just having trouble finding someone to do it again because I didn't want to pay anyone. So I just went on. Once I got that logo done, they gave me something just plain Jane, and I went with that. And I went to Vista Print and put it out the best way I could. But yeah, man, they sent me this guy, and I'm like, this doesn't even look like me.
Yeah. I hate when they do that kind of stuff, and it's all like half-assed in a way. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of pushed it to get it done there. It's like, bro, put some thought into it, or else don't put anything into it at all.
But it works. It works. I mean, regardless, you just need something to, to get out there for a moment. It'll work for you, because I'm not knocking anybody hustle because you like it, I love it.
Well, Vistaprint has its space. You know what I mean? It to me, it's like one of those things where you need, like you said, you need something done quick. You need it done now. You know what I mean? And you need the convenience factor. You don't. You pay for that, and you do pay a little bit extra, but it shows the value in what you get for it. Whereas you don't want to pay a lot of money for something and it doesn't have the value to give you what you want. Yeah. So I don't see anything wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't use it as my permanent label guy. You know what I mean? Because you can shop around and probably get a better deal on higher numbers. Like if you get into the quantity.
I need to figure out how to work this Cricut so I can print out my own logos for my clothing line and stuff like that, my merch.
But just go on YouTube.
I'm going to be a walking billboard. And people are going to notice, especially if you could just like look at your clothes and make sure, because I'm already big and then people just look at me like, oh, this guy is walking down the alley. What's his shirt say? Seamoss? Oh, you sell Seamoss? You'll be surprised how many people will actually look at my car magnet, because I got like 4 car magnets on my truck.
Yeah.
And people just call me randomly.
Really?
I'm driving down the highway and they're like, hey, I'm right behind you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just getting off work. I'm not even in the mood to sell anything, but I'm just trying to make it home.
That's the scariest. I'm right behind you. Why are you right behind me? What do you mean you're right behind me? What do you want? Oh, I want to. Oh, okay, just Seamoss.
You get this random text message, you sell Seamoss. I'm like, hold on. I said, I'm right behind you. I said, oh, Lord, man. One night, I got this call like 3 in the morning, right? And I answered the phone. I knew I shouldn't answer the phone, but when I answered the phone, they just didn't say anything. It was just quiet. I said, I got to get my number off the side of this truck.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't talk here, because that's what happens to me. They'll call me late at night, and it's usually someone that just has nothing to do, all the time in the world, and they'll just keep you on the phone. Hey, before you go, and it's just like, bro, it's
talking to you though. They're just not calling, not saying, breathe. I hear like silence. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. It's like the most spookiest time in the world.
Block that number.
Man, I'm already like spooked out, especially around 2 a.m., 3 o'clock. But that's when all the scary movies that's when everything started to happen right then. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Oh man.
It's a Seamoss booty call.
looking
Yeah. Seamoss
at.
booty call.
Man, those times work though. I wish I could get a billboard.
Yeah, Ricky's got a billboard. Or do you still have the billboard, Ricky? Or do you leave the phone?
What's that?
Do you still have the billboard? He's.
No, I only got it for a couple months.
Oh, okay.
That's so expensive. How much did they want? You remind me asking. I actually split it with a guy that actually was selling CBD, and we both put in like $1,200 for that month. So it was like $1,200, and I had it for like 3 months.
That's not bad though.
Yeah, it was like it was worth it because it kind of like. Yeah. All right, so I say it was worth it because that's one thing that I told myself when I got a business, I'm gonna get a billboard. Mm-hmm. And so just for that sake alone, I was like, yeah, this is worth it. But then it really wasn't worth it because I think I would have probably got a billboard in a better location where there was more traffic, or one of those electronic billboards where you actually really, where you actually share with like 5 or 6 different people, and it just kind of changes all the time. Mm-hmm. I would have got it on the interstate instead of getting it. Yeah. And another thing, like, people don't really use billboards like they used to. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna tell you what I really want to do, and I'm hoping that somebody hears this and kind of says, "Oh, okay." I want to actually just, you know how you have the Batman symbol? Oh, you snap! I actually want to get my QR code, and just the only thing you have to do is QR. You snap! That's the first time I ever heard it. So that's the mind frame that I'm in as far as. So if anybody hears this and says, "Hey," like Julien said, just give me a little slight commission on it. That's all. This shout me out. I'm cool with the shout out. But that's really like I'm just trying to find the right, or even like I think just putting your QR code, and I would actually spray paint the ground and have somebody paint your QR code on the ground. Yeah. So you walk past it, and somebody look down like, okay, whose QR code is that? When they click on the QR code, then they see it. Mm-hmm. So how long you been thinking about that? For about a year or so. I was about to say, it took some time to think about that right there. Yeah. That's creative right there, for real. Okay. Well, when I said it, the person you know how somebody says, well, you're going to cause a traffic, you're going to cause a collision. I'm like, that's not my fault. Batman didn't care about that.
No, and I'm trying to think. There was a time, I think in the early 2000s or so, where they used to do a lot of marketing like that, where they would project things. It was like either on a cloud or a screen on nightclubs. I definitely remember them doing. Yeah, or they would do it on a building. That was it. And it was like, as you're going into the club, they would put visuals across the top of the building when you're waiting in the lineup and stuff like that. So I wonder if you can go to like some kind of health event at night and start shooting that stuff on a building or something like that, you know? But I like that idea about the spray paint of the QR code. But what I would even do, I know it sounds crazy, but I love the idea of doing guerrilla marketing with, like, say, stickers and putting your stickers all over town to the point where you're like, people are in a bus stop, a bus station shelter, and they'll see a sticker and say, oh, I saw that sticker downtown, that same thing. You know what I mean? And so it's like a little mini ad everywhere you go. And eventually, if you put the QR code, someone's going to, and put some kind of thing like, do you care about your health? Scan this, whatever. You don't even have to say Seamoss. Make it so that they're curious to know more about it. And then they jump on it. Boom. And then they scan it. And then it comes into this website that goes into all this information about Seamoss and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know. That's an idea.
Like, I love it. The guerrilla marketing is always fun for me. Mm-hmm. Just get you like a street team
Mm-hmm.
Like they had back in the day. Like Atlanta was known for street teams and just posters everywhere, to the point where they actually banned it. Like they banned you actually tagging everything. I don't care though. Tag anyway.
No, you definitely. That's what you need to do. Is that kind of health street team, and do it around like events that are, vegan events or, health product events and stuff like that. I don't know. That's definitely. I think I'm gonna find an event where it's like a predominantly black crowd, and I'm gonna flyer all the cars with some kind of thing saying, like, learn more about your health or strongman stamina or something, and they'll scan it and it'll go to a website or a single web page. We'll have some details talking about these people, and then I think from then it'll be set up so that, like, when you go to that website to watch the information, then it shows that you have an interest in Seamoss, and then we can maybe pick them up like by a pixel or something, and then start streaming ads to them because we already know that they're interested in Seamoss. So it's just a matter of time of just hitting them with the same information until they accept.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Check it out. Seamoss Boss just came in. Oh yeah, it's a holiday. I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised to see him up here this late, but I was like seeing him come by and show his love, support. Yeah, man. So I gotta try and figure out when there's some Black culture events coming up soon, because I definitely want to do the Seamoss drinks that I was talking about before. Did I ever tell you guys that the idea I have about, like, going to the events and slinging the drinks and then using that as a way to um, promote and create more awareness about the dry Seamoss that is?
Go ahead. I just want to know, and you too, Ricky, if y'all would be still down to do that, like set up PR when someone sets up a video and TV and audio, and if they are basically people scared to go out and do it themselves, and y'all just sit there and give up the information, and basically y'all will be the almost like the thumbs up and the guide too, because y'all, since y'all have most of the information and any question anybody has to ask, and y'all could be plugging yourself into, like, how, like, would y'all do something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Always down for that.
So would this be for people that want to learn how to get into their own business, or just want to learn how to take Seamoss?
No, I'm like, this is how I see it. At a farmer's market, just like once a week or twice a week, I don't know, but at a farmer's market, selling Seamoss, the only, like, when I see people do it, they sometimes lack information when I walk up to them, just to see where they at, right? Because I like to support them in, like, any business. If I see, like, I buy their product, especially if I love it, I'll come back and be like, yo, I love you, like, your product is good. Like, why, like, I'll just, I say, hey, like, with this hot sauce I really like, they do really good, but they don't have any samples. I couldn't sample it the first time. If I could have sampled it, I would have bought another one. I would have bought the harder one and the regular one.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be like, yeah, man, just have some chips. And so, we can have a little sample of it. And they were like, oh, and they will order a couple of them. Yeah. So in that case, like with the Seamoss, it will fly off the friggin' shelf if someone wasn't scared to talk about it. Sometimes when I see a lot of people don't even sell Seamoss around here. When they do, they don't have the right information, or they don't know what to say. If they had someone behind them, the confidence of people, they will just be selling it. They will be the person to give out the bottle and make it. Y'all will be the brain and spitting out everything, and y'all will be plugging yourself in at the same time. And the thing about it is, there is not even competition, because it could be regional. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you have someone you did it for in Florida, you have someone you did it for in Kansas. You know, it's a whole bunch of regions where you could just be like, yeah, I'll do it for you. And I'll set it. I mean, I'm not trying to say if that is even a problem because there's so much space in between, like different counties, etc., and all of that. But yeah, man, like y'all have the information. Y'all have like that's all it is. I see too. Like once the information get out there, it's gonna explode even more. That's all it is.
But here's the thing: the information that, at least for me, the information I have, anybody has access to it.
No, but you could look. All right, so that's very true, right? But right now, I can probably talk on a subject that I'm comfortable with, like real in a fluent language. But you can talk about Seamoss like it's your second language. Like you could go ahead and break if they say, yeah, you know, like what is it? Where does it come from? Why does it taste like this? And you know, the person might be like, yeah, it comes from the ocean, and you know, it tastes like that because you know they might not have worded it right. Almost, you know what I'm trying to say? Like sometimes some people can look at a customer and know how to talk to them in that manner, and it'll make it sell.
I get exactly what you're saying. Like, okay, so with us, we've been doing it so long, and we speak Seamoss all the time that there's really not too many questions that we can't answer.
Yeah.
And then it's not even the answering; it's the answering with confidence that a lot of times will throw a lot of people off. Because a lot of times when people answer, and I ask people, because I go to these farmers market, I go to these vendor spots, and I start asking questions like I'm nobody, and they stumble. And so I kind of break it down to them like, no, well, this is what you want to look for, this nature, and yeah, it's a lot of times it's the speaking with confidence. I think with a lot of my customers, we actually have a lot of one-on-one conversations to the point where they speak like they're me. And I'll go to their vending events and I listen to them talk now. I kind of sit in the background, like I'll drop off some products for them, and I'll sit in the background and just see how they intertwine with everybody. Me personally, like my customers that actually do vending events are phenomenal. Because we actually always have these one-on-one conversations. Whatever I say is like they soak it all up, and sometimes they say it better than me. New customers or new people that are actually getting into the Seamoss industry, I would actually, it's almost more like doing a seminar. I think just a Zoom or seminar where we kind of break down and they're able to ask the questions and even, I think we actually talked about it last week where it's almost like a Shark Tank where people come on and they do a spill for us. And we just say, okay, so I think right here that you can actually bring up this. Like now I'm getting to the point where I like talking about Seamoss as far as ingestion, but I love talking about Seamoss as far as topical now. And what it does for the skin. I'm still getting into all the different things that it does. And even like now, we've been looking at Chondrus crispus as far as the difference between Chondrus crispus and like the Euchina catoni as far as what it does for skin. I'm still set on catoni actually being better for the skin than what Chondrus crispus is. I think Chondrus crispus is more of a medicine. However, I want to study it more. And like I'm one of them people that study and regurgitate everything I study. Mm-hmm. I have to give you the information because that actually makes me remember the information even more once I kind of speak it out. So, but I'm all for that, Rio. Anything that helps the people like get more customers and get more people on Seamoss, I'm all for it.
All right. Okay. And real quick, when you was on the skin, okay, I want you to try this out. All right, and I promise to you, I tried it multiple times and it actually works. Put the Seamoss mask on, like just the plain, on your face and sleep with it. Let it dry up a little bit and go to sleep with it at night. if you have a little exfoliation glove or anything like that, just so because it's gonna be on it, but you can take it off just with a little soap and warm water. It'll come off like that. But give it a little gentle. If you have one of those little gloves, just something like a little scrub, and get it. And I promise to you, it's night and freaking day just by doing a regular mask. You can do a regular mask, leave it on for an hour or something. But if you sleep with it, it's crazy.
Like put a light mask on when you sleep.
Yes, put a light mask on. I like to take it on just a little bit, but a light mask works too. I like it like a little, when you get like the old man look and stuff. My daughter, she likes it like that too. But
now you're gonna have me try that tonight,
bro. I'm telling you, please, let me know, man. That is night and day.
I think I agree with you in the sense of it's important for us to have share the information and knowledge, but I also feel like you don't want to get into a situation where you're doing the work for these people. You know what I mean? They need to be researching and learning this stuff as much like I was saying before. There's nothing I'm doing that's sort of proprietary or you know what I mean, different. And it didn't take me long to learn the stuff that I've learned. If someone even spent 5 hours, 10 hours seriously researching, not just watching the first things that come up to them, but digging deep. One day they should learn enough about Seamoss to be able to comfortably talk about it. But what happens is a lot of times these guys focus more on the money and just selling the product than actually understanding and learning the product so that they can answer these questions and be prepared. It's almost like they just want to get to the sale. Let me just sell this Seamoss and I'll figure it out as I go, kind of thing. Which is all right? But it just, I don't know.
I think that is a key. And Julien, what I'll say is that, and this is by me being around you for the last couple of months, we're different, bro.
I know.
and I'm just gonna be honest, we're different when it comes to the Seamoss. We're different, and I have to accept that people aren't going to be as heavily invested as far as learning the information and even where to get the information, because we're different, bro. We're just different, and I'm starting to understand that. I'm starting to appreciate that as far as the level of I would say, consistency we are of the Seamoss and how we go about our days as far as being Seamoss men. We're Seamoss men.
Mm-hmm.
So we're different. And people just, and you can have somebody that can study for 12 to 20 hours and it still won't amount to what we're doing. And I'm starting to understand that. And I'm not even trying to brag on it. I'm just starting to understand is that you're even more different than what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand what he's saying because we grasp it a little bit differently. Like our level of and it's analyzing and it's just how we grasp the information a little bit different than a lot of it.
Okay, fair enough. But I guess
it's okay. So not even saying and nobody can really jump on your level, because to get to where you are, and to be honest with you and Ricky, it's not just it's the background y'all do have too. You have to understand that the background y'all have and the walk that y'all have makes it so that y'all can do and speak. Y'all been in sales. Y'all freaking sold almost how many things y'all think y'all different parts y'all sold?
A lot.
Real sold. And it's actually the whole idea of this. It is for the people who don't want to do that, and that's what I'm trying to say. This service that you would supply wouldn't be free, because you would most likely you will see every sale that gets by, and you can just do business like that, and you can see I will make your sales come up, and when you don't need my service anymore, you don't have to have it. It's a service that you're giving. It's almost like it's on Netflix or anything, whatever they get. You're paying money for a service.
if you can get someone's sales up, for no doubt, and you can have a continuous supply of customer. If you get somebody one customer selling a jar of Seamoss, that's they might have that customer either for life, maybe once or twice, but you got them a sale that could potentially grow even more. They could tell somebody, so you can show the value to it. You can sell yourself just to sell something just by. What I'm trying to say is you do it so you can be sitting down, giving your knowledge away, and be making money. That's the whole plan of it. That's what I'm seeing from it. Because you could be sitting at a farmer's market without you actually having to be there. You have basically somebody selling it for you. Hopefully they have a strong product like how Ricky is in the kitchen whipping it up, trying to specialize his recipe. And that's what I respect from, I'm trying to say, like, if you have someone like that and you're the voice of it, but then I'm trying to tell you, like, when I approach, and even so when someone asks me about Seamoss or dry Seamoss, they're interested in it. They say I know nothing about it. I say, well, I try to tell them about it. I say, okay, cool. You could go online and it's a whole bunch of. I say that, and they be like, yeah, but I mean, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do the research. They just want to make the money. So okay, cool. If you want to make the money, okay, cool. If that's and then I could supply a service for you for that. But you can make the money, but you just have to pay something. Are you paid? Yeah. I'm trying. With that.
Well, here's the thing. I would rather do it for free and have the person go and learn the stuff, and then they don't have to come bother me again, than for me to provide a service which they're always relying on me to solve their problem.
Okay. You want to give them the fish.
Yes. I'm a Christian, so I don't believe in being that guy that provides the. I teach people how to fish. I don't sell fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. That's no, for real. I understand.
I look at it a couple different ways. Like, okay, so if I already sell Seamoss to you, then I'm probably going to mentor you as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't sell Seamoss to you, then I might have you pay for a consultation. If you actually gonna go and do it yourself, I might have you pay for a consultation. And I'm not like, I understand that part now because there's certain people that I've done it for free. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, there's a couple people I've done it for free, and actually I felt good this week because somebody shouted me out, and I remember the situation where she was actually going to buy it from me, but she had everything that she needed to do it herself. So I just told her, you know what, go ahead and do it yourself. At that point in time, I probably would have wanted to charge her a consultation fee. However, now that the last week has came and she just mentioned me in a live, that consultation fee, I wouldn't even felt good about it. I'm being truthful. I kind of go back and forth. Like, there's some people that I know that just want the information, and it's just kind of a judge of people, really. Mm-hmm. Like, if I see that you're really, really putting forth the effort, and you just need that extra, you got it, don't worry about it, I probably won't charge you. But if you're one of them takers, and the only thing you really want to do is just take the information, and you're not even kind of really grateful for it, like, I know that you're not going to really say thank you, or you're kind of playing me, I might charge you. It's just, and a lot of times it's hard to really know who is who, because people play nice, really good. That's all I can say. People play nice, really good, and sometimes there's some people I'm like, man, I should have charged them for all the information. I should have charged. I say that a couple times. Then there's some people I already know that they're good people. I'm like, no, I'm not going to charge you. So I go back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Some people you do have to charge, because if you don't, they're just going to not respect your time. You know?
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Because when I talk to people, and like a lot of times I just talk to them, and I might have a conversation, I'll give up like information, and like they might be thinking I don't know, like I'm just coming how long I've been doing this, etc. Or it just might be a friend, especially when it's like friends and stuff like that. But I wouldn't charge a friend whatever, but it's like later on in the future, I see they come around, or if it's someone reoccurring, it's I don't know, man. That kind of bugs me a little bit. Like when it's popular, like 2 years from now, if Seamoss is in every shelf in the store and stuff like that, and especially like a lot of people I know close to me that I try to get to take it, which they're taking it now, but it's a few that has like health. I know Seamoss might help them out, especially with just with energy and like energy wise, man. Like they ask for more energy instead of drinking sugary drinks and stuff like that. I said, man, use Seamoss. I'm telling you, like just try it out. Man, you always trying to put some of this stuff on. You are like, and I'll be like, okay, like whatever. But like, I don't know, that's just bugging. So I just like, I don't know. I give it to them for free, and I feel stupid. I stopped doing that because I asked Julien. I asked you about this a while back. And he was like, "Yeah, man, save the family and stuff. Man, save them for last. Like, you need to hit the other. Like, and I was like, all right, man."
Bro, I think I've sold like I have a family. My mom has 7 sisters and 1 brother. Like I have a huge family, extended family, and none of them. I've been a realtor for 8 years. None of them have called me and said, "Julien, can you sell my house for me?" Or that, like I have family friends that have used me. You know what I mean? That are more distant. Like I've like trust me. Don't expect your family to do anything for you. Don't expect anything. That's one thing I've learned in life. The moment you start expecting things, you open yourself up for disappointment. So if you just accept that everything that you get is what you're going to get, and you make the best of it, or you do something to change that, then that's it. You're not disappointed. Like I rarely get disappointed because I rarely expect things. I'm just happy with whatever I get. And then if it's not what I want, then I figure, okay, this is what I need to get what I want. And then I go get that. You know what I mean? But when it's, I don't know.
Those gems right there, boy. Yeah, expectations.
Yeah, you'll always be disappointed. Always. Nothing will ever meet your expectations. Eventually, like once or twice it might, but like in the long term, it's like gambling. You know what I mean? Like the house always wins in the end. So just go out there and be happy, and just put your best. And yeah, definitely don't expect business from your family. And that's another thing too. If people run to their family because they perceive their sales as being easier, right? But if they are easier and you are accustomed or you develop your skills based on something that's easy, then you'll never be able to accomplish things that are hard. Whereas if you focus on the hard things first, that builds up the resistance so that anything else is easy. Do you know what I mean? And so, in that very sense, when you master dealing with a stranger, you know what I mean, like taking a stranger from never knowing them to the point where, you know what I mean, they're trusting you enough that like, you tell them anything and they'll say okay. You know what I mean? It. Fuck, forgot my train of thought of where I was going with that.
Going to accomplish focusing on the hard first.
Oh yes, yes. So you focus on these people, when you do get your family or someone else, they're just like a walk in the park. You know, like how do I put it? there have been so many situations where I've had to walk up to a complete stranger and get them to like me. That now it's anybody I want to like, I want them to like me, they're liking me. Do you know what I mean? Because I've challenged, like, I've gotten people that hated me liking me. Get that. Try that for a side. Try to get someone that absolutely despises you, and then you talk to them and you turn them around and get them to see who you are, and you figure out what they like, and you make sure that what you like is what they like. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, you're best friends. Bro, then you can meet anybody and do anything. You know what I'm saying? Selling someone is easy once you get to that level. But we're afraid to push ourselves into that area of uncomfortability. You know what I mean? We're afraid to go and talk to strangers and try and start conversations with them. You know? Why?
I understand. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. And I'm sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
So I've been Googling, colleges, trying to find out schools that teach about seed. And I don't know if anybody knows of any. I'm also looking for firms that could employ, someone so that you can get to learn on the job. And I don't know that it's something that someone might have willing to assist someone. I come from Kenya. I'm sure you all know about that. And I'm trying to grow seaweed here in a place that has never grown seaweed. So I might need all the information, all the experience. I only get learn about seaweed not too long ago. I just got me so excited that I want to make it my life.
Nice. Do I have your email address? I think you emailed me before, didn't you?
Yeah, you send that to me.
Huh?
I could send that to you.
Okay, yeah. Send me your email address, or even take my email and send me an email. And what I'll send to you is that there's a document put on by the Caribbean Research Institute, and it basically is a manual that was given to all Seamoss farmers, and it shows the history of Seamoss, the biology of Seamoss. It gives a bunch of cultivation techniques, and then also how to identify suitable spots for Seamoss, because you need to have certain temperatures and certain saltinity levels of salt minerals in the water. I forget how to pronounce it, saltinatively or something like that. I'm the worst at pronouncing words, but I think you get the gist of what I mean. So
yeah, but more than anything, I think there's beauty in practically. There's this book that seaweed might change the whole world. Biofuel. I think the potential is enormous, and I don't want to limit myself to just making money, buying and selling, and all that. I'm thinking of seaweed as an opportunity to actually make an impact in this world. The biodiesel, the food, taking it to the next level. Just as opposed to just buying and selling and making a life out of it, but doing something. I see people doing it a whole life. Let me share this website. It really got me excited. In fact, I'm thinking about reaching out to them and maybe asking if I could come over there. And he has done it for 83 years, not count. And I think it's amazing. Just have a look at that. I'll put it in the chat. And the potential that there is.
Yeah.
Changing people's culture. There are so many people eating seaweed, at least not in the cities and as much as there should be in Africa. And you have all these pesticides, all these chemical fertilizer, cancer is on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And seaweed could make such a big impact. And I think to be an authority, to stand in front of people and talk, must have been at it for a while, maybe family or something, but either that or have gone down to school and have the credentials to be able to push a narrative. I think the potential is so huge, especially here now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for those opportunities to in person, school. Have you guys thought about forming like a school, teach about seaweed?
Sorry?
Teach generations about it as opposed to maybe just I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too big or
No. I know in our government we have like a technical transfer team or something like that, where they set out a bunch of farmers to go to other countries to teach them how to farm and best practices and how to dry the Seamoss and all those kind of stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
When you get a certificate, get the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking school. That's something else. Maybe you may want to do a live and invite a few chefs, teaching people how to cook seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
Document that, put it on YouTube. Videos people cooking seaweed. I will look into that.
That's some good idea.
Please name Janelle. Janelle is she's awesome.
She's what?
She does she's awesome. She's in the Coco and living. Hi Janelle.
Hi. Oh my goodness. Sir, hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, do you know anything about Seamoss?
I do love Seamoss. I do. Of course, Seamoss is very good for you. It's good for your health. It's good for your overall body. So, yeah, Seamoss is great for the congestion system. The mucus, it takes away the mucus. So, I do know that it's good for that nature.
Nice.
Hi, Drea. Sorry, Sheila. I'm sorry, hi.
Welcome.
Is there, can you make cookies even famous? Did you know that? Julien?
Julien, he asked you if you could make cookies. But
I thought he was talking to Janelle. Yeah, of course you can make put Seamoss in almost anything, any sort of liquid or if in case you have the powder, it doesn't always have to be a liquid, but Seamoss, they put them in like cookie batters, like ice cream, like sauces. Yeah, soups, salad dressings. I don't know, like everything. There should be some kind of like cookbook or some kind of like chef demonstration to show you like the different methods and ways that you can cook Seamoss. That or something would be cool.
Janelle makes cookies, and she's talking about cocoa in Ghana, she's in the US. So maybe Seamoss is another thing maybe Janelle may want to explore in your cooking.
You know what? Yeah, I like the idea of it in ice cream because I think, and cookies, I think that a much more healthier vegan sort of ice cream, I think Seamoss will work really well in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be great. So, having Seamoss and ice cream, it's a good health benefactor. And I think also when you do it with almond milk and all that, because I know a lot of people are very, health conscious. So, I think it worked well with almond because it, with I think with Seamoss, it helps with the conjunctive system. So when you don't use a milk like dairy, and using like almond milk or something like that, then I think it will work really well.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm curious to know, because Mr. O kind of touched a bit. Are you dealing with cocoa from Ghana, or tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have a company called Chocolate Janelja. I'm only focusing right now. I'm going to start focusing on one product because I have a business coach, and so he suggests I focus on one product.
Mm-hmm.
So we are packaging the product. So I make chocolates. So my Laura bar is the bar that I'm focusing on, and that's the bar is going to be all over. Then I'm going to start doing variations of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But cocoa, my goal is to have my product in Africa, and so I was talking to, we were discussing about, working together in terms of getting cocoa, having cocoa and things like that. Mr. D, Mr. D now, is that what you going by, Mr. D? Oh, sorry, Mr. O?
Yeah, Mr. O.
I'm like, what? What? Okay, Oscar. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I call you Oscar. Okay, so Oscar and I, we were talking about, getting cocoa, and so he has just having like that cacao, like the real raw cacao, and I really want to start, utilizing, helping, my people in Africa, using those sources, but I know it's not overnight. So right now I'm just sort of in the process, just, getting things together, but my goal is to start working with the farms in Africa, especially for the cocoa, because my product is very amazing. I'm not denying that. It's really good. But I feel like that I'm also into a much more natural as possible with my products. Like, because a lot of my stuff, I make it from scratch. So, and it tastes really good. I mean, it really does. And so I would love to start working with farmers in Africa, because I feel like, it will just give my product a much more better, amazing taste.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the gist of it. And how it all started, Chocolate Janelja, I'm the fifth generation. So the caramel was actually, I've inherited from my late grandmother. My mom was taught by my great grandmother, because she was in the kitchen with my grandmother when she was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Then my mom came to me and was like, hey, I want someone to do something with this. This has been in our family. This is good. Everyone loves it. The only one that I think that would do well is you. So I had no idea that I had that skill.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom kind of taught me, and I just fell in love with it. I really fell in love with it. And I fell in love with just making people happy and just hearing people saying, oh my gosh, this is so good. And like, this is the best bar I've ever had. And I think that is just like, you hear that a lot, you have some, well, I know I got something.
Yeah.
So, I'm just working right now. I'm branding. I'm working with a group right now with my marketing strategy. And we are focusing on the Laura bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I am creating another variation of the Laura bar. So it'll be a different twist to it. So we will be packaging them, And once I get my marketing strategy and all that together, then where my target, what I know my demographic, but what my target market is between now and next year, then hopefully you'll be starting to see chocolate genealogy at the airport. So that's my goal.
Oh, wow. Congratulations on the idea.
Congratulations on that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're actually looking at how to market this bar?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said you're looking at how to market this bar as far as your Laura bar. That's what you're kind of working on right now?
Well, I already know how to market my bar. That I know. Like, I've been marketing it. I've gotten people asking me to put my product in stores. My market, my clientele is very high end. We get, like, the bulk of my clientele is, like, radio stations. Like, I've partnered up with a radio station and a lot of, like, attorneys, like, high-end law offices, when they have, like, upscale parties, they order from me. So I know my market, but now I need to get marketed high, like, broad distribution. But when you're that type of market, it's a whole nother demographic, or it's a whole nother wavelength. So, it's a lot of work when you're trying to get it global. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a whole lot of work, and that's when you have to have a very tailored marketing strategy when you're trying to, when I'm trying to get into that broadness. So, yeah.
Definitely. Makes sense. Makes good sense, because, like, when you're starting out, one, you want to prove the proof of concept, but two, until you have the sort of, like, recipe down, you don't want to try and be figuring out 5 or 6 different variations. It's better just to knock that one recipe out and use that as a formula to copy for the other designs or other products.
Yeah, and that's what I usually do. Like, I have this recipe down packed. Like, it's called No Tomorrow. So, yeah, the recipe is down packed. So, yeah, that's what I do with my ice cream too. So I have one formula, and I use that same formula, and I just create from that formula. And that's the same thing when I'm doing with the Laura bar. I have the down packed recipe. So from that recipe, I'm just kind of duplicating it, but I'm adding another bar. Because with the marketing strategy, like, you have to have what is your target for, like, 2 years. So in 2 years, I want to have like another bar out, another variation, or this is what I'm coming out next with. So that's what I have to do. So, you know what I mean? So just having that bar for, like, I've had this bar for, like, how many years now? But I've had other products that I've also was selling, but now I'm no longer going to sell those products. It will be under the radar, or it'll be on private only. But the focus will be it would just be the bars.
And Laura bar, what is that? Is that like a type of chocolate bar, or like?
Yeah, so Laura is my late great grandmother, Laura. That's her name. She was my grandmother, my late great grandmother, who taught my mother the recipe for the caramel. So when I decided, it's like a turtle. It's just like a turtle. But I was like, I didn't want to say cluster bars or anything like that. It sounds so repetitious. You hear it all the time. So I was like, call it Laura bars. The Laura cluster bar. I call it Laura cluster bar. I might take out the cluster. I might just say Laura bars. But that's what the Laura means. So it's just a turtle cluster bar. But I just kind of named it the Laura bar because you always hear the turtles, or you hear the cluster bar or something. So I just didn't like that. So I just named it after her.
Cool. And I think that's a cool idea to, like, reach out to, like, guys like Mr. O to get the source, the raw ingredients, like the cocoa, even like the what is it? Is it pecans in those bars or whatever? The turtles?
Yeah, it's raw pecans. So even that, I would love to get it from the farms.
Yeah.
Like, the raw is the better.
That's what I'm thinking. You can also source that ingredients and stuff like that. And then, like, if you want to in the future, this is a different idea that you might want to try if you want to take it or not. But as you introduce these new chocolate bars, you can look at seeing what it would be like to get different cocoa beans from different parts of the country, like of the world. So it's like you have a chocolate bar, a lower bar that's made with chocolate that's sourced with cocoa beans from Kenya, which tastes different than if you had cocoa beans from Ghana.
That Kenya, that is where my great grandmother's from.
Yeah. Wasn't that?
Something that you say Kenya.
Well,
Like, oh my god.
That's where Mr. O is. Mr. O, aren't you from Kenya? Yeah.
He's from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Kenya, and I got to meet Janelle. You know, she spends a lot of time in Kenyan rooms. I mean, in African rooms.
Mm.
And you know, I got to meet her.
And I think you should start the company out in Kenya and use Kenyan chocolate as the highlight to say, yeah, this is where my family's from. This is the chocolate. But I don't know. I get this thought in my mind, like no one's ever done a chocolate from around the world to say, okay, try this chocolate. This chocolate comes from Africa. Try this chocolate. This chocolate comes from Tanzania. Try this chocolate. This chocolate comes, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's something you do now because you're not ready for it now. But when you talked about introducing new bars, I feel like having chocolate from around the world, being able to try that is something I would pay extra for.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's something I thought about that. I mean, I'm not saying, but I've had that vision in my head, and it's just a confirmation. So thank you so much for just bringing that to me, because it's like, I definitely see that very happening very soon.
Yeah. It'd be cool.
Well, this is
what Julia said real quick.
Yeah.
How they have those boxes that you can get that when you turn the lid upside down, it has like the different flavors. Instead of that, it can be like the different places that it came from. If it was dark, like if it's dark chocolate, etc.
Like a pot of gold.
Yeah, Julie gets the freaking juices flowing when he be going boy.
That's
Thank you.
pretty cool.
Thank you. That's my gift from God. That's what God gave me the gift is to drop seeds into people's minds and inspire them. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
No problem.
I saw, I don't know, Mr. O popped up on my phone with Clubhouse. I haven't been on Clubhouse in a minute. I've just been submerging myself in my business, and I feel like that I need to focus, and I don't want to get too cloudy minded. So sometimes I haven't been on Clubhouse for a minute, but I just want to just hop on. Thank you so much for bringing me up on the stage, and nice meeting you all.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And I hope to come in here again. This is a great topic, the Seamoss Club. This is great.
Yeah, join the Seamoss Club. We all
did.
Awesome. We all try to meet here Sundays and Wednesdays in the evening, usually after 9. We do it on Clubhouse, but I'm also simultaneously doing a live stream on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely, I just followed you, so I'll hop on whenever I can.
Yeah.
And it was so nice meeting you all. And Mr. Oscar, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. So please
my brother.
Yeah, if you have nothing to the reason why maybe I thought and I was excited to see you was that people Seamoss is an acquired taste. You know, people don't find it palatable, for lack of a better word. And the thought of mixing, chocolate with it, I don't know if anybody has, thought about it. And then there's the value addition, your cookies and all that. I think it would make an interesting additive. And Janelle, maybe Julien has talked about holding live shows, and the audience is huge. So maybe you could feature as a chef, and make your cookies live using the maybe a Seamoss. Maybe you might want to try turns out, and you never know. Everything happens for a reason. Your coming here could be something great. I know you talking about what I am a therapist, but Moringa has done wonders for my health, my mental health. So I recently came across Seamoss, the seaweed. I went for a training, a European Union funded training, not too long ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it has made a world of difference. So now I'm singing the Moringa Seamoss song, one in the life.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and Julien, just so you know, if you look at my following, I have size of a following, I think 2,000 something and growing. And there's Julien down there. He's a climate change activist, and there's talk that seaweed could be the next frontier in saving the planet.
It will be.
So,
Yeah. I think it definitely will be if we can get over this idea that the wild-crafted Seamoss is somehow better quality than the stuff that's cultivated. You know what I mean? Like, we need to add more Seamoss to the ocean, not take it away. So,
Yeah, I think Seamoss is pretty good for your face and hair and all that too.
It's amazing. It will grow your hair back. I've seen new hair growth when I've put it on my forehead and stuff like that in areas where there was no hair growing whatsoever.
Wow, I gotta make a Seamoss conditioner.
No.
There you go.
And my aunt has been taking the Seamoss internally and topically to deal with her alopecia, and she has it really bad where it's like the whole crown of her head, the circle, is bald, and then so it's like all her sides, she's got long hair, but the top circle of her hair is completely like without hair. So she always has to wear a hat or something, or pull her hair together in a way so that it hides the fact that she's like there. But she said that the Seamoss was the only thing so far that's shown any sort of improvement or change in her health. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, and it was the one thing like she just like was so grateful because she was like, "Oh, can I buy some of this?" I'm like, "Fuck, hell no, you can't buy some of it. Your money's no good here." You know what I mean? Like, you shipped it to her. And when I saw her at the last family gathering, I asked her, and she was like, "Well, you don't see me wearing a hat right now, do you?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Well, there's your answer. Thank you." I'm like, "Okay, well, anytime you need it, call me up, you know?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
No,
That's
and
super great.
no, and it feels good to be in that kind of position where, not only are you selling health to other people, but you're making changes, improvements in the lives of your family. You know what I mean? Like, my mom's taken this Seamoss, and she was having issues with like swelling in her legs, where because of an accident in her childhood, she's got this one leg that it looks like she's got like elephantitis or something. It's constantly like swelling over her shoes and stuff like that because it's like retaining a lot of water and stuff. And she's saying that the Seamoss has helped like sort of drain it and stuff. And someone the other day said that they put the Seamoss like topically over something like that and to help reduce the inflammation. So I'm gonna try and see if I can get her to rub it on her legs and stuff and see if that will reduce some of the swelling.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe when you put it on your body as well internally, I think it works. I mean, it's such a great. It's a natural healer.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a godsend. It's his herb or it's from the sea. So, but he created it, so it's a healer.
No, yeah, it vibrates. I believe it vibrates at a unique frequency, and it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like you have to see and touch live Seamoss to understand almost like the power that this stuff has, and that it's just different. You know what I mean? Like it just has this different energy, calmness. Even when you're working in the farms, cleaning the Seamoss and stuff like that, like you will sit there for hours and almost get into like a zen-like state where you're just like like almost like immersed in nature. If that makes any sense, you know.
Oh, I believe it. That sounds really great. Well, once again, thank you
Yes,
so
you've been
much
trying
for
to
having
go.
me. I gotta get back to doing what I'm working on right now. I'm
Yes.
getting big. But it was a pleasure. And have you? And one last thing, do you know about? I know you talk about Seamoss here, but do you also use like algae?
No other algae besides Seamoss. We
I
are.
use green algae, and it's so good.
Yes.
I use that every day. I usually just drink it, and it's gross, but it's so good for you. It's like a healer as well.
Yeah, no, green algae is actually green Seamoss.
Oh, it is.
Seamoss, yeah. So the thing we're drinking daily is Seamoss.
Oh, that's so great. So I'm drinking my algae. Okay. Because I make a smoothie out of it. I just been making with like kale, and I put coconut milk in it because coconut cream and milk and bananas. Because it's so potent by itself, but when I do the bananas and the coconut cream and the coconut water and the coconut milk, it's really good. And I have it really cold, like it's frozen, so it's really good.
Seamoss is actually algae.
Oh, yay! That's awesome. Okay, that's good. All right, awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This is a great group. This is such a great topic, and I really appreciate you guys bring me up on the stage.
Anytime.
So I can get back to my work.
Yes.
It's like 12:30 here a.m. So.
Yes. We don't want to see you go, but at the same time, we're not going to try and get you to stay. So
Well, I'll come back another time for sure. This is a great conversation.
All right.
All right, you guys have a wonderful, blessed night.
You too.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
So they call it green algae and not Seamoss. That's interesting.
Well, here's the thing. There is a green algae, and I gotta do more research on it, because the species Garcilaria or Eukinema or Capsicum, they all fall under red algae. Now, what I don't know for sure, because we have a green Seamoss, is that green Seamoss considered a green algae or is it considered a red algae? Because it's green, right? But can green algae fall in the same category as a red algae? I don't know. But Killian O'Brien had some interesting point that I want to say that he said in the back chat here. He says, in terms of sustainability, always bear in mind, one, any massive expansion of any biota beyond its natural growth contents is problematic, as it must displace something else. Any monoculture is unsustainable. Any industrial processing is unsustainable. For your info and your consideration. Yeah, that's for sure. But see, I don't know. With Seamoss, even though it might be considered sort of like a monocultural, the way it grows and the way it's sort of, at least from my experience, how it develops in its natural environment, it just grows everywhere. You know what I mean? And there's no real limit to how it grows, And so I'm not sure if monoculture would be unsustainable, because maybe to a certain point, because I've seen in certain farms in Asia and stuff like that where the Seamoss is grown in such concentration and closer together that they've caused like algae blooms to form, or everywhere in those areas the water is all green and stuff like that. So that's possible, but I don't know. I know with us growing the farms, we intentionally make sure that we don't put the Seamoss too close together or put too much Seamoss in one space because we don't want them to be fighting for nutrients and stuff, you know. And then in the term of and Seamoss, at least in St. Lucia, there is currently no industrial processing in the process of drawing Seamoss. Pretty much everything's done by hand, and there's no machines used in that situation. So, you know, when they dry it out in the sun, and they use their own hands to kind of put it out. There are a lot of countries where, you know, the price point and the like level of Seamoss that they're sort of extracting out of the water is of like such a massive scale that they need to have, like, you know, industrial machines to kind of move it around. They probably need to have industrial dryers to kind of speed up the drying process and stuff like that. And in that situation, I do agree that like these things are not desirable, at least in the sort of market that we're trying to sell in, where I feel like we're more of the, you know, artisan or craft market. And then, you know, these other countries where they're selling the Seamoss at $1 or $2 a kilo, they're going for more of that industrial market where, you know, the quality and the nutrients is not as important to them as the level of carrageenan or agar, you know. So
just maybe to chime in a bit, Killian is a bit combative and quite controversial sometimes. So
what?
throw in a few statements. The way I see it, agriculture as it is right now has caused so much harm. The cutting down of trees and you know, desertification, climate change issues. It's, you know, it's a whole chain effect.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look into the oceans and practice agriculture in the oceans, it will have the net effect of maybe having the demands on earth resources shifted.
Mm-hmm.
So you have more trees, you have more you know, animals and yeah.
True.
I think it's basically, I might not have the words to word it beautifully. But agriculture in the ocean has the net effect of doing good to the earth.
Killian, I know you're about to unmute your microphone. I'd like to give you a chance to speak.
Well, I just don't like being insulted when you walk into a room and all you do is state some facts and you get called combative. That says nothing about me. It says everything about the person speaking.
Okay.
And that's a common thing. You know, when you challenge people's perceptions, it's very natural for them to be defensive. And that happens a lot. You know, especially when you're more knowledgeable about things than other people are. And so I'm just asking Mr. Odin not insult and slander somebody the minute they enter a room. I'm not being combative. I literally just listed some factual statements. I made no judgment from them. I didn't say, hey, do this or don't do this, or this is good or this is bad. I simply listened and then gave you guys some data points to consider in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And nothing more. There's nothing combative in any of that. And for someone to react as if I'm combative. I'm speaking combative, okay? You are being combative by interrupting. So I just wanted to say that if you want to talk about true sustainability, and I don't want to because I don't want to derail your conversation, I just wanted to give a little bit of underlying info for people to think about as you're doing whatever you're doing. I really don't mean to derail the room because
you're not.
Deep sustainability is a whole thing, and it's very hard for people to wrap their minds around. And I understand that. I understand why. So I don't want to derail you. I don't want to get you guys off topic.
No.
I just wanted to heard some things
Listen, there's no topic about, as long as we're talking about Seamoss, we're on topic, and so you're open to share your information. I never once thought you were being combative. I never once thought you were being like any issue. I was, I welcome your sort of opinion and your knowledge and your experience. You know what I mean? Not everybody knows a lot about sustainability, and so I think it's important that if someone who, has that experience and the knowledge, that you at least give the opportunity for them to speak and just listen. You know what I mean? And some of the things I may agree with, some of the things I may not agree with. Fuck, we're here to talk about it, not like get emotional about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually don't know anything about Seamoss, and so that's part of the reason I want to be a bit circumspect. I assume it's in some ways similar to blue-green algae and to things like kelp and all those things that I'm not as health things, health foods, but also as climate solutions, etc., ways to sequester carbon. So I assume all that is sort of in this milieu, although you guys are primarily talking about it as a supplement, it seems.
Yeah. So.
But all the same things apply to any conversation about sustainability. That's why I inputted those key little facts, just to keep in mind that achieving real sustainability, not the bullshit sustainability that most people, everything is labeled sustainable. Like windmills, wind generators, they're wonderful things, but they're not sustainable.
Like fish farms.
Not sustainable.
Like fish farms.
That's what I was saying. But if you have any specific, if something specific comes up, or if you have a specific question for me, I might be able to put something, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries. And I get it. Like fish farms, they go on like fish farms are supposed to be sustainable, but it's like the byproduct of these fish farms are like killing all the environment around them. So it's almost like, well, okay, yes, we're saving out this fish, but the way you're trying to make fish sustainable, it's almost putting more pressure on the natural environment. What I find crazy is, why don't we just like produce fish and just release it into the wild so we have more fish to catch in the wild, instead of trying to create these like pens where, you know what I mean, we're trying to like, hold all our fish in, and nature, that's not how it's supposed to be. And so, you know what I mean, we have these toxic issues, and we have to put what do they call it, hormones or whatever shit you put in the fish to keep them from getting disease, because you're putting so much close together. I don't know. It's crazy how we think as humans, and how everything is just so real, focused around profits and money, commercialism.
Right. I mean, nailed it right there. That's all about money and trying to control the supply and manage the supply. But as you say, if you understand how natural systems actually function, and you get down to understanding them at the level of principles, like function and principles, like think of it as like engineering. Engineering has principles of engineering, right? The things that you do, like the most obvious one is to overbuild, right? You build a skyscraper and you make it so it's twice as strong as it needs to be, because you just overbuild as a principle, right? That's just a simple principle. But nature operates on principles also. And when you understand what nature's doing at that level, it really shifts how you see things. It really, really changes things. And because then you can almost instantly know, once you have these principles assimilated into your thinking, it becomes so automatic. Oh yeah, that's sustainable. That's not. That's sustainable. It's literally almost that fast. Very rarely do you, once you've done that, you have to do a deep analysis, because you just know. Okay, so fish farms, do they have waste? Yes. Not sustainable.
Yeah.
Done. Finished. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And there are other sea lice, blah blah blah. Diseases that they get, all kinds of things. But just one principle tells you that you need to rethink it, that you need to do it better. Is there waste? Yes. Not sustainable. Period. Done. Finished. So, and that's what I mean. That kind of, if you get these principles in your mind, it really helps. And it doesn't But today we can't jump to that today, right? Because we can't. It'd be impossible. But we can step with it. By having that in our heads, then we design better and better and transition, and step by step we get to the point where it really is that way, where we can say, we aren't doing that because it has waste. We aren't doing that because it doesn't, those elements don't support each other. Et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of different principles, but
well, see,
that's the perspective from which I originally texted in and that I speak from.
Yeah, and I agree with you, right? And in the case of Seamoss farming, for the most situations, unless you get into an over commercialization, meaning like, we're trying to fit as much Seamoss in this dense pop, this 10 by 10 square foot area or whatever. If you're sort of spacing the Seamoss out properly and allowing it to grow like how it sort of would naturally, then the Seamoss is definitely sustainable because there's no real sort of off product on it, right? And then what it actually does is it creates more environments for other life to kind of sustain on it. So I've talked to farmers who have said, like, when I've expanded my farm and I'm planting and stuff, you will see more fish come into the area. They'll see more turtles. They'll see more fingerlings and crabs and all this other stuff because these guys they naturally use that Seamoss as an environment to take cover. But what's happened in our world is that, for whatever reason, we all know the reasons that are in Seamoss, but it's gotten to a lot of people's head that this wild Seamoss is somehow better quality. And so we're taking more wild Seamoss out of the water than can actually be naturally replenished. And that's where the cultivation and the farmings come in. And so as we farm more, it's sort of creating more habitats and more environments for more sea life to kind of grow. And so in that situation, I don't see it, being similar to like how the fish is where there's waste. But if you were to sort of densely pack the Seamoss beyond what it would normally grow in that environment, then yeah, the water is going to sort of have a different color with the algae and this and that, and the nutrient levels are not going to be as strong. The Seamoss isn't going to be as healthy. You know what I mean? Yes, then it's not sustainable.
Well, again, it's going to depend. It's like right now we can expand and artificially, by artificially I mean we can cause kelp to grow, right? And so in the ocean, and at least until they get too hot, period. I mean, right now we still have a window, and there's so many areas where the kelp has died off that just replenishing, just getting those areas to be healthy again, we can massively expand kelp production. But if we start thinking about expanding that kelp expansion beyond where it has ever been historically, then we have to be very careful. It doesn't mean we don't. As humans, we do alter our environments, and we have for as humans, we have been intentionally and permanently altering the environment since at least 85,000 years ago.
Agreed.
That's established now. Around the northern end of Lake Malawi, they found evidence of humans changing the environment to be more productive for themselves, but without breaking it. And so there are limits, there are ebbs and flows, there are limits to how far you can push it before you turn it into something completely different and risk it collapsing or falling apart. So that's what we have to be careful of. If you can expand it, you will be displacing something. But if you're going to expand Seamoss beyond where it was already growing, then you are displacing something.
I agree.
But be critical. It depends. If you can keep a balance, and if you have the wherewithal, the means, and the insight and awareness and knowledge to pay attention to your space that you're doing that in, and you can see that it is mimicking the natural system, then you're a long way towards maybe, yes, being able to do that in a healthy way. But you have to be aware of these things. That's all.
Yes, I agree. Agree 1000%. And I mean that's why in St. Lucia we're mindful of where we build our Seamoss farms, and we're mindful of how big we allow them to grow in particular areas. And we make sure that where they are, it's almost like this is where they would kind of grow naturally. So we test the waters to make sure they have the right nutrient content and stuff. And we're just looking for like the ultimate natural environment, because the idea is you want this to behave how it naturally is, and there's little or no intervention by man except putting it there and leaving it there, or as it's there, cleaning certain debris off it so that it grows better. You know what I mean? So that because it's like any plant. If there's dust constantly on the plant, it's not going to do photosynthesis. At its optimal level, it's not going to grow the best, whatever. So you know, that's the only thing they do in CMOS. Everything else is just done naturally, right down to the environment.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I was done. I have a habit of looking like I'm done, and then I remember to add 2 words in, and I try to throw it in. So no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to add one last thing, and then I'll shut up. Again, because I don't know enough about CMOS to be real specific in being supportive or helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is anything you're doing, if it looks, well, essentially, good design is excellent biomimicry.
Mm-hmm.
So if what is essentially biomimicry, mimicking what nature does, then you're a huge step towards being comfortable that you're probably at or getting close to sustainable. And so that's good. What you're describing sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to go through analysis and then look at all your numbers and all this crap and, be all scientific about it to be certain, but you're doing that. It sounds like you're being careful about that. So, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Just on
Well, you know what? I'd love for you to come maybe on a future show, and we'll plan it and discuss it, right? But come on the live stream, and I'll show you where these farms are, and we'll discuss it, and you can kind of, sort of give your expert opinion of whether or not you see this as being sustainable, because that's the one of the things I want to show the world is that okay, yes, wildcrafted is great. Well, actually, I don't believe wildcrafted is great. Let me take that back, because the people that I've spoke to, when you're harvesting this sea moss in the wild environment, it's like there's access to like heavy metals, pollution. Like I would just read like, have you guys ever heard of binge dumping? No. So I think it's binge, or maybe I'll check it again. But basically, there's this part in maybe it's bile or binge. I thought it was binge, but there's this part in every sort of tanker ship or every commercial shipping like shipper liner where all the garbage and all the environmental crap from the diesel engines and all the machineries and stuff gets collected. And so this is stuff that they're not supposed to inject out into the ocean, but it's a common practice that they do. And they were showing them how they do it and stuff. And so in a lot of these areas where there's ports, these ships come in and they have to dump off this mess. And it's like super duper toxic. I want to research more and find out like where it goes, how they do it. But my point is that if you're harvesting sea moss in an area where these ships are around and they're releasing some of this toxic sludge, and you go into what you think is the wild environment to grab this sea moss, it's like it's not good. Whereas, you pick an area where, you've tested the water, this is clean, this, there's no sort of human interaction, it's an environmentally protected area, you grow the sea moss there, it's going to be, safer to consume.
Yeah, I know that issue actually. I just had never heard it called that, but yeah, and it's a big problem. It's completely illegal, but the companies do it anyway to save money.
Yes, to save money. That's what they were saying, and then it's like it's totally illegal, environmental, and it destroys beaches and all kinds of stuff like that. But they do it on a regular, And so the one thing I know when it comes to farming, at least in St. Lucia, they're mindful of where they're putting these farms to make sure, because they know that the Seamoss is like a filter. And so whatever's in that water, the Seamoss is going to absorb. So if there's any heavy metals in that area, if there's a high level of mercury, there's going to be mercury found in the Seamoss, the algae. Because what the algae does is it absorbs the nutrients or whatever is dissolved in that water as it flows by in the currents. So, you know, I don't know. I've tried wild sea moss and I've tried the regular and I've seen no difference. But in the end, I will always choose farmed over the wild because I know where the farm was farmed. I know where it was grown. Like, I had my uncle one time get a guy to go get me like what they called wildcrafted sea moss. And bro, this stuff was the nastiest sea moss I've ever seen in my life. And I ended up throwing it away. I was so upset and mad. Like I tried to clean it, I tried to dry it, and it just had so much guck and sea debris on it, and like microplastics and just garbage. Like just, I was like, where did you find this? This thing just looks nasty. Like it looked like a disease, you know. And so that was one thing I was like to myself, was like, you got to be careful about where you're getting the sea moss, because anybody can just throw sea moss in a bag that they found anywhere and be like, oh yeah, it's good, it's wild. You know.
You say farmed, but it sounds like the farming. My impression so far from how you've talked about it is that the farming is happening in the sea or in the ocean, right?
Yeah, it's not even considered technically farming, because like I don't know.
Right, well, see, that would be my point. If you're doing it in a natural environment, it won't be quite like the salmon and stuff where they put it in these these pens and they can't go anywhere, and so they shit and they piss and all these sea lice get in there and they develop diseases because even though they're in the ocean, it's not a natural environment. But if you're just getting sea moss to grow in the ocean, plopping it down here and there, then they should have all the same nutrients and everything that naturally growing sea moss would have, and so it should be equal in nutrients and in density, etc.
Thank you.
And so there shouldn't be a problem. Except, as you're saying, if you're testing the water and stuff, then you're intentionally avoiding some of the nasty shit that can be in the sea.
Thank you. And that's essentially what it is. The sea moss, like when they're farming the techniques, they actually even get the sea moss from the wild. So I don't know if you're familiar with algae too much, but if you take a piece of the sea moss or the seaweed and you break it off, that little piece, if left alone, will start growing on its own and grow. And it's like they're like vines. And so the technique that they use for growing the sea moss is basically to go in the wild, take this sea moss, break it into small pieces, and then attach it to the rope, which is usually placed not too far from where the sea moss that they found in the wild is. They string it on a rope. It's tied to this little line, and it lets the sea moss sway and dangle in the water, which is what it does when it's tied to a rock.
So it's like growing oysters, basically.
Huh?
It's the same technique as growing oysters.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like with the oysters, you put them in a kind of like a sock or something like that to keep them from floating away. It's the same thing. They tie it to the line just to keep it from floating away. You know? And then that way they can control how much they put out, how far away it's from each other, how dense it gets, that kind of stuff. They can clean it. And then most importantly, they could say, this is my sea moss. You know what I mean? Because if it's all over the place and it's the wild, anybody can come up and say, well, how does that define your sea moss? You know what I mean? But I can say this rope from this stick to this stick is my area. Anything in this, you know what I mean, that I'm growing, that's my plot. That's the only reason why they do it like that. Otherwise, they probably would have just, left it in the wild or added more to grow anywhere. I don't know. It's definitely not sustainable to grab it from the wild, though, for sure.
I gotta move along, but it's been really nice to talk to you because it's pretty rare for me to be able to walk into a room and drop some fairly heavy knowledge on people and not have them be defensive and angry, etc. So, man, it's so nice to come across someone who's doing something and is willing to take feedback or at least take, thoughts on board and consider them. It's pretty rare.
Well,
so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really nice conversation.
Well, like Ricky next to me here, Seamoss, the Seamoss boss there, he said we're just built differently. Do you know what I mean? And the reality is, we're here to learn. And if you're a guy who's an expert in sustainability, who am I to kind of talk to you like I know more than you? Do you know what I mean? I want to learn from you. So how am I learning from you if I'm being a dick to you?
Exactly, and that's exactly why I'm telling you about Seamoss.
Yeah.
I don't know shit about it, but I can tell you about sustainability, and that applies to anything.
Definitely.
So as long as
No, bro, you don't.
what you're doing, I can at least do some broad guiding about whether something you're doing is sustainable or not, right? Even if I know nothing about it.
No,
So, yeah.
you don't understand. Like you literally made the room tonight because I'm gonna take the audio from all the stuff that you said. I'm gonna chop it and throw it to people's face and say, look, here's a guy who has no interest in Seamoss whatsoever, who's just a man of science, and look what he says logically about things. Because when you approach it from a science perspective, this shit all makes sense. But a lot of these people, they don't want to look at it from a like a science perspective, and that's why when someone comes with them with science, it's hard for them to digest because you're literally shattering their whole like fantasy world that they've built up for themselves.
I'm not talking about science. Julien, I don't know their background in science. I thought you're an English teacher.
Who, me?
No, Julien is. I don't know that he has a background in science. You mentioned something about.
Oh well, to me,
I know him as an English teacher.
well, whatever. Teacher, science, like anybody that studies something of a high educational level, I would consider someone in science. Like, I don't know.
What I am is an expert in sustainability. I am an expert in regenerative systems and how to design them. That's what I am.
Okay.
And, so I'm not a scientist in the sense that Mr. O is saying, and of course, he has to chime in and make sure that little jab is I know I'm not a college degree, but I have, I put in, I counted it up once. I put in probably 2.5, in terms of hours of study and conversation and research, I put in 2.5 PhDs. Right? Oh, please don't interrupt. It's so rude. It really is just not appropriate. I put in like 2.5 hours. PhDs worth time on this stuff, and not everything that is worth knowing is going to be found in the university. Particularly when it comes to sustainability, there's only one university I know that even is close to actually teaching true sustainability, and that would be a university. But universities like people like me, IA is made up of people like me that study what I study, that have done the things that I do. Those are the teachers and creators of Gaia University. But no other university in the world is sustainability, blah, blah, blah. Like, business sustainability, that's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
It's an oxymoron, right? And all this kind of crap goes on. There's only one university I know in the world that actually does sustainability. So keep that in mind when someone says, well, where's your PhD? Well, guess what? There aren't PhDs in this shit. We are the people creating the future where there can be PhDs in this shit. It's that. I gotta go.
Cool. Yes. Go ahead.
Seamoss Simon, Quinn, if reach out to me. You know where to find me. If you want me to set or any on a podcast or whatever, take my brain. I'm always open to anybody that really wants to talk seriously about this stuff.
All right, yeah, follow me. I'll follow you, and yeah, I'll reach out to you next time, and we'll talk. But like, I appreciate your thoughts and your opinions when you shared it and stuff like that. And yeah. All right, take care. Cheers. So, so I take it, Mr. O, you guys know each other, but you're not the best of friends.
There's this guy who is focusing in sustainability, and he had a room. He has rooms on Sundays night time.
Yeah.
And Julien owned another room, the few people that says that guy is a bully, and calling them all sorts of names. And the rooms were running parallel. It was quite amusing. I have been in vegetarian rooms, authorities, and I think Julien will walk in and start argument.
Yeah, he looks.
I still maintain that he's a bit competitive. I would be curious. I'd be cautious about inviting him and having him out there.
You didn't see how I handled him? You didn't see how I handled him, though, Mr. O? You didn't see how I handled him? I had that guy like putty in my hands.
You're very diplomatic, and I think you can get along with basically everyone.
I have, dude, I have my level of patience is off the charts. Like, trust me, when you see how patient and understanding and calm I can get, you're just like, what is this guy, an alien? How is he doing that? This guy's flipping out, and he's just like, yeah. So, because it is, it is what it is. He is sort of, I wouldn't say combative, but passionate, very sort of, you know what I mean, like touchy. And so it's easy for him to sort of take offense of things that you're saying, and he feels the need to defend himself all the time, or make sure that he draws a line so that you have to show respect to him. Like, I think a lot of the problem with him is he feels that you've disrespected him at some point.
I also have this sort of like ability to get the people who'd rather sit back in the forefront, and maybe which strings to pull, and for him, a few words here and there to get him all reeled up and talking, which is much better than him being in the audience. He makes some pretty good arguments. He's in agriculture. So maybe you could bear a few things, but still be cautious about killing.
Yeah, I'd be careful, but I will be careful. But I would only really want him to come on to discuss and make people understand what sustainability really is and what it means, and like how a lot of their practices are not sustainable, and it's not good for the environment. And if you want to come across like you're even like a vegan, you know what I mean? Like if you're vegan and you're all about saving the animals and saving the planet, but then you're like, I only touch wildcrafted, I feel like that's a contradiction. You know what I mean? And you're not living a sustainable life, and you're damaging the environment. And I don't know. It would be good to have him on there to explain to people what that means.
Yeah, the beauty about seaweed farming, it also increases the marine life around the farms, because there are not any additives of sorts. The more vegetation there are, you find the more fish and biodiversity around the farms.
For sure. And and he even said it, like, as long as there's no sort of waste or byproduct, it's considered sustainable, which I believe, farmed or cultivated Seamoss is. I shouldn't even be using the word farm, because like when you use the word farm, you have this idea that it's, this big sort of process, and it's not, It's probably as natural as it could get. Like, I don't think it could get any natural except for it finding it there naturally.
No, you're absolutely right, and I will change my vocabulary on that. Cultivated, what do you think would be the best term to use?
Cultivated. I say cultivated, or I say ocean raised.
Ocean raised, yeah.
Yeah, because with ocean raised, it was raised in the ocean, and that's why I usually say it. And I even think wild crafted is not a term that accurately describes what they see as wild crafted. I think wild harvested is what should be used, because I feel like if you craft something to be like in the wild, then it's wild crafted. But if you harvest something in the wild, then that's wild harvested. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too literal when it comes to these certain words or whatnot. I don't know. It is what it is. It is starting to get late too. I think maybe I should start winding it down. I don't know. Rick, are you still there, or did you fall asleep? I think he's gone. Rio, you there? You're there, right, Rio?
I'm in the SpongeBob time. What you mean?
But yeah. So maybe you should end it. Yeah, and you know what? I got to start doing this when we don't go past 2 o'clock. Because honestly, it messes up my day when I stay up to like 3, 4 and stuff like that. It's not good for me. It's not good at all. But I love you guys so much. I know, I like talking with Seamoss, and I want to leave. Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is. So, guys, I'm going to end the night just because I don't want to be up too late. And but let's meet again on Wednesday. And we'll talk more. We'll continue this conversation, I guess.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Yeah, second time being
Yeah.
Lots of fun. No experience.
Yeah. No. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming and joining. And like I was saying before, make sure you send me an email so I can send you that document. And don't listen to this guy. I think in some ways, he came in the room to kind of like have an argument with you. You know what I mean? Because he started going on. You never said anything to him when he first got here about him being combative or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I mentioned he's a student on sustainability.
Yeah, that's all you.
Like I said, it was my own way of getting him to talk. Sometimes some nuggets of little bit you can use here. Like Daniel Love. I said beautiful things about Ancient Natural and flower. Same thing with Julien. A few words here and there will get him talking.
Yeah, it seemed like you said you. Sorry.
Unfortunately, I don't know that to say it's fortunate or unfortunate when you're in your rooms, you will find a few people gravitating towards them because they spend a bit of time in sustainability rooms. And my words are a bit also controversial because there's a lot of mining and destructive things happening in our forests in Africa. Talking about it, if it is the batteries of the solar panels people are using and going solar, causing a bit of destruction, in one part of the world, and people don't want to hear a bit about that. So,
interesting.
So, with Seamoss seaweed being a source of biofuel, that's an amazing thing, and maybe that's a conversation that needs to be pushed out across. As we push other renewables.
Yeah, and actually, we should talk about that maybe in the next topic, like the next Wednesday, the next time we meet is to talk about these different ways that we can use, Seamoss or Seamoss byproducts to, change different things in the environment, like fertilizers and stuff like that. I'd be curious to see how it could be used. Like you mentioned biofuels, but like, could it be somehow made into like a briquette or something that we can use as a fuel source? Like recently, I saw a documentary or a video where they were talking with this guy who developed a way to take coconut shells and turn them into charcoal. Right? What if we can do something similar with seaweeds or sagassum and break it down into a fuel that can be burnt, or a fuel that, like you said, that can turn into like a biofuel that can be used in diesel engines and stuff like that.
I make fertilizer out of seaweed, and the end product, which is fermented food, could be used as fish food. I know that for a fact, and it could be carbonized to biochar, which could be an additive in soil, and as you carbonize it, the energy is released, so that could be used as steam drying for the seaweed. I think the potential is endless, only limited by the imagination.
Yeah.
So to say, for my fertilizer production, I'm getting a press, and when I get this press, it could also used to press oil from coconut. So that's something I want to get it. But once the coconut is transformed, it's more solid.
I've been really trying to find ways to use find different products with coconut. So besides using it as a charcoal, another one I looked at is turning it into what do they call it? Cocoa core, which is basically coconut. Basically, coconut turn the fibers. They turn it into like a soil, and they use it for planting for vegetables and stuff like that. And
I know a bit about that. There's the hard parts, the cover that encases the coconut flesh. That is what could maybe go into the fuel source. But then there's the soft outer material, and like you said, it could be used to make ropes, cocoa, and even the ropes for seaweed farming.
Yeah.
They talk about that if they are coated so that they don't break down. And then there's of course the cocoa pit, which is the plastic part, and that is gold in so many parts. Then you could also get wood vinegar from it, like carbonizing, the smoke. Once you condense the smoke, look at the prices of wood vinegar. It's crazy. And, use it as a pesticide, as a natural fertilizer.
No, I've never heard of wood vinegar. No.
This wood vinegar is liquid gold. What they call it that, they call it liquid gold.
I'll have to look into it.
And the benefits, and its smoke, it's something that is, released and but it takes, it's destructive actually when it's released, because that's, pollution. But then when you condense that smoke, what you get is an amazing product.
Wow, I have to do more research on it. But yeah, we should talk more about that next live stream about, how to use these different products, like just how to develop more sustainability in a sense, or how to, create these products that can make more of an improvement on their lives, like fertilizer, like animal feed, that kind of stuff. Started to get really tired. So with that, I'm gonna have to say goodnight to everyone. But again, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm gonna take a puff here because of my allergies. All right, good night. See you. You guys have a good night. Take care. Oh. And there we go. That's the end of the show. Been started a little late than normal. We started the show originally on Clubhouse, and then when I got home, I jumped on the live streams. But it is after 2 in the morning, and I got to get up early. I got a lot of orders to do. I got to go in the warehouse on a holiday. They bang these out, so maybe I'll do a live stream from there tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Whew, don't forget to take your Seamoss. Yeah, take care.